Hi everyone, this video is going to walk you through how to set up and paint your butterfly. So you've already downloaded the butterfly starter file from the week 5 assignment Dropbox, and now we need to set it up so you can successfully paint it. So you have a locked background layer over here, and the first thing we're going to do is just click on the background layer and press Ctrl J. You need to duplicate your butterfly. This is what Ctrl J does, and then you need to change the blend mode right here from normal to multiply. And then you're just going to leave this alone. I'm going to rename it butterfly, and we're actually going to paint in between both of these layers. So it's really critical that you pay attention throughout this process, that you are keeping your painted layers between butterfly and background. So when you're ready to start painting, you always have to make a selection first. You are never painting on this background layer. Don't ever paint on this. If you do paint on this, you earn 0 points for the assignment. So you're going to click on the background layer. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in week 3, where you can choose to figure out what selection tool is going to work for this. It's either going to be the magic wand or the quick selection tool. You cannot use any other tool on here to select your butterfly. You can, but it's going to be extremely difficult and you're going to be frustrated. So in your notes, it talks about using the magic wand and then clicking and then zooming in to make sure that you actually grabbed all of the pixels that you needed. See how there's like this transition from like maybe gray to black? You want to make sure you're right at the edge of the coloring book outline. If you are not, you're going to go to Select, Modify, Expand, and you'll expand it by 1 pixel. So I'll show you what this does if you expand it by 1 pixel. See how it ate away at a large chunk of the coloring book outline? So in this case, it's probably not really necessary that I expand it by 1 pixel. So I will actually just keep it here and we'll paint. So what you need to determine, you already figured out your color scheme. We talked about that in class with the paint lecture, how you have to have a color scheme this week. You're going to make a selection of piece or pieces of your butterfly. So for example, if you know that this piece and this piece need to be the same color, then select them at the same time and then zoom in. You got to check your selections and make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't have any pieces missing. I'm good there. So let's say I want to make these 2 spots the same color. So I've successfully selected them. I clicked one. You added to your selection by clicking up here, or you held down Shift and I clicked the other one. Now you need to get them off of the background layer, because remember, we do not paint on the background layer. So once you make a selection on the background layer, you're going to Control J. And then I'm going to rename these real quick. Top wing dots. Now you're like, my marching ants are gone. You can't paint without marching ants. So to activate your marching ants, you're going to put your cursor on top of the pixel grid for the selection that you just made, and you are going to Control click the thumbnail to bring back your marching ants. Now you can paint. So I'm going to grab my paintbrush. So we talked about this in class, and then I'm going to pick a paint color. And remember, you have all of the different brushes you get to pick from the brush panel. You can have hard, soft. You can have all the different kinds of brushes, all the different techniques you want. You can control the flow, the smoothing, the opacity. Literally, you can control all of the settings using this and then your brush panel settings. So now you paint. So remember, you can't go outside of the lines, which is really nice. And I'm just holding down my mouse key, my mouse button, and I am just painting. Now remember, your other goal this week is that you're not allowed to paint flat. And what I mean by that is there's no depth to this. There's no shadows, there's no highlights, there's no texture. So for the sake of the video, if I just want to grab a lighter purple, and then I want to lower my brush tip, and maybe I just want to click a dot. Here we go. I'm happy with it. I like it. I'm going to Control D and move on. Notice how I don't have any white showing inside of the piece I just colored on this side or this side, so I'm good. I'm then going to come back to the background layer, and I'll do this one more time to show you. And I'm going to select these pieces here. I'm going to zoom in. It looks pretty good there. And then you can add to your selection or hold down Shift. That looks pretty good too. And now remember, again, I needed to pick a color scheme for this week. So keeping in line with the colors I've already picked, so I made 2 selections. I'm going to Control J, and then I can do, and again, you're going to need to be as creative as you can be with these dots. So second layer dots, anything you want. I'm going to Control click the thumbnail to bring back my marching ants. I am going to grab my paintbrush. Instead of painting with this color this time, this bright magenta, I'm going to paint these with the light color that I clicked with the dots in. So I'm going to come in here, paint with this. And now maybe my accent color. And then I'm going to Control D. Now, fast forwarding and assuming that we've painted our entire butterfly, if you notice, one of the steps in the directions is that you have to create a background for your butterfly. So how you are going to do that is, again, we are assuming that we've painted the whole thing. You're going to come down here to the bottom and you're going to click the plus sign for a new layer. And we need to pick a color. So I am going to pick a color that I want to fill this background with. And you are going to go to Edit, Fill, or you can use the shortcut keys. And then I need to make sure that my background layer stays below. So if your background layer happened to end up being up here at the top, just drag it down. It just needs to be above the original locked background layer. And then now I have a background for my butterfly, and you can paint the background, add different colored textures with all the different paintbrushes. It's completely up to you. So then once you have the whole thing painted, you'll save it as a PSD first and then a JPEG, and you'll submit it. Yes, you do have to have at least 3 groups. You can leave the butterfly and the background out, and then you can group the middle areas together. So if you have any questions about how to create and paint your butterfly, let me know.